What if I told you that somewhere in a locked vault, there's a substance so valuable that a single gram of it could buy you a house, a car, and still leave you enough for a 5-star vacation? And what if I told you that's not even close to the most expensive thing on Earth? Stick with me, because we're about to climb a ladder of value so extreme that gold, yes, gold, the metal empires have literally fought wars over, is going to feel like pocket change by the end of this. We're going from your kitchen spice rack all the way to a laboratory that manufactures the single most expensive substance humanity has ever created. Buckle up, this one gets wild. Let's start somewhere familiar. Something you've probably held in your own hands without even realizing how insane it actually is. Saffron. That little red spice sitting in your spice rack, the one your grandma sprinkles into rice like it's nothing, is actually one of the most labor-intensive substances on the planet. Each strand is hand-picked from the center of a crocus flower, and it takes about 150,000 flowers, all harvested by hand, just to make 1 kilogram. That's why a single gram of good saffron can run you $10 or more. Gram for gram, your spice rack is already beating silver. Wild, right? But here's the twist. Saffron isn't expensive because it's rare. It's expensive because of the sheer human effort behind it. Somewhere out there, though, is something valuable for the opposite reason, because nature simply refused to make much of it at all. That something is gold. For over 5,000 years, gold has basically been humanity's shiny obsession. Ancient Egyptians thought it was the flesh of the sun god Ra. Spanish conquistadors tore apart entire civilizations chasing it. And central banks today still lock it away in vaults, just in case paper money decides to vanish overnight. Honestly, fair strategy. A gram of gold today costs around $100. Doesn't sound crazy, until you realize every single ounce of gold ever mined in human history, from ancient Egyptian mines to modern shafts 3 kilometers underground, would fit inside about 4 Olympic-sized swimming pools. That's it. That's the entire supply of a metal our whole species has built economies around. But get this, gold isn't even the most valuable metal out there. There's something even rarer hiding in plain sight, tucked inside your own car. Platinum. You've seen it stamped on jewelry, marketed as classier than gold. And for most of the 20th century, it usually was more expensive. But platinum has an even rarer sibling hiding in the same ore, one almost nobody's heard of. Rhodium. Rhodium is this silvery metal quietly working inside your car's catalytic converter, scrubbing toxic gases before they hit the air. For decades, nobody paid it much attention. Then, in 2021, things got wild. Automakers, scrambling to meet emissions rules, suddenly needed more rhodium than the entire planet could dig up. Prices exploded. At its peak, 1 ounce of rhodium sold for over $29,000. That's more than 15 ounces of gold. The world's entire yearly supply could fit inside a single shipping container with room to spare. And yet, as absurd as that is, rhodium is still just a metal. You could technically hold it in your hand if your wallet could handle it. What comes next isn't measured in ounces anymore. It's measured in carats, and its origin story is way more violent than any war. Diamonds. Formed 100 to 200 kilometers beneath the Earth's crust, under pressure that would crush a submarine like a soda can, diamonds are just compressed carbon. The same stuff in your pencil, in your body, in the air around you. Squeezed for over 1 billion years until it becomes the hardest natural material we know of. Most diamonds go for a few $1,000s a carat, nothing wild. But then there's the pink star. A flawless, vivid pink diamond about the size of a large almond, mined in Africa and cut over 2 years by a gem cutter too nervous to make a single wrong move. In 2017, it sold at auction for $71 million. Not a typo, $71 million for a rock you could genuinely lose in your couch cushions. But even the pink star has one flaw. Everyone knows about it. Everyone knows what it's worth. So what if something existed that almost nobody's heard of, yet costs more per gram than diamonds, rhodium, and platinum combined. Meet painite. For nearly 3 decades after it was discovered in Myanmar in the 1950s, painite was the rarest gemstone mineral on Earth. Fewer than 3 known crystals existed on the entire planet. You genuinely had better odds of owning a piece of the moon. Even today, with new deposits found, gem-quality painite is still so scarce that cut stones sell for around $60,000 per carat. That's almost $1,000 for a piece the size of a grain of sugar, for a mineral most jewelers will never even see in their careers. And we still haven't hit the ceiling. Because gold, rhodium, diamonds, painite, all of it exists because the Earth naturally made it, buried somewhere waiting to be dug up. So what happens when humans decide to build something nature never intended to exist at all? That's where mining stops and physics takes over. Deep inside nuclear reactors, scientists produce a radioactive element called californium-252, first created back in 1950 at UC Berkeley, hence the name. Californium doesn't sit in a mine somewhere. It has to be built, atom by atom, inside a reactor, bombarding curium with neutrons for months at a time. And here's the fun part. It's actually incredibly useful. A tiny sliver of californium-252 can start up nuclear reactors, detect explosives at airports, and even help locate gold and silver deposits underground. 1 microgram can trigger a chain reaction. The price tag? Around $27 million per gram. Let that sink in. A single raindrop weighs about 1/20th of a gram. If that raindrop were californium instead of water, it'd be worth over $1 million. The world's entire annual supply of this stuff could fit inside a coffee cup, and it would still be worth more than most countries' GDP. Surely that's the ceiling. Surely nothing beats an element built inside a nuclear reactor. Yet, somewhere beyond even californium, exists a substance so expensive that comparing it to gold is like comparing a grain of sand to the entire Sahara Desert. It isn't mined. It isn't grown. It isn't even naturally stable. It has to be created, 1 particle at a time, inside multi-billion-dollar particle accelerators. And it self-destructs within fractions of a second of being made. Antimatter. Every particle in the universe has an antimatter twin, an opposite version with reversed charge. When matter and antimatter touch, they don't just react, they completely annihilate each other, converting 100% of their mass directly into pure energy, following Einstein's famous equation almost perfectly. No nuclear bomb on Earth is anywhere near that efficient. A nuclear weapon converts less than 1% of its mass into energy. Antimatter converts all of it. NASA has actually calculated the theoretical cost of producing antihydrogen, the simplest form of antimatter, using current particle accelerator technology. The estimate isn't dollars per gram. It's dollars per gram followed by more zeros than most people encounter in a lifetime. According to those calculations, 1 gram of antimatter would cost somewhere in the range of $62.5 trillion to manufacture. To put that number in perspective, $62 trillion is more than the combined value of every stock listed on every stock exchange on Earth. It's more than the total wealth of every billionaire on the planet stacked together, multiplied several times over. And that's for a single gram, a piece smaller than a grain of rice, of a substance that CERN's Large Hadron Collider, one of humanity's most sophisticated machines, has only ever managed to produce in quantities measured in nanograms, held in place using magnetic fields, because if it touches literally anything, it vanishes in a flash of gamma rays. We've gone from spice to metal to compressed carbon to reactor-forged radioactive elements, and finally to particles so unstable they can't even touch the walls of the universe they were born into without erasing themselves from existence. But here's the funny part. Even a gram of antimatter isn't really the top of the ladder. Because if we ever actually managed to produce it, the most valuable thing wouldn't be the antimatter itself. It'd be whoever owns it. Probably a country, maybe the United States, already sitting on $180 trillion of wealth. But then zoom out further, and the Earth itself is worth an estimated $5 quadrillion. Zoom out again, and there are asteroids drifting through space right now carrying quintillions of dollars in gold and platinum. And the Sun, the thing that gives us literally everything, is a ball of gas worth a mind-melting $30 nonillion. The universe, it turns out, is stuffed with an unimaginable amount of wealth. And every bit of it we got for free. And somewhere in that journey, a strange realization starts to settle in. Value was never really about the material itself. It was never about gold's shine, or a diamond's sparkle, or a reactor's radioactive glow, or even a star burning in the sky. Every single price tag we just explored is a reflection of something far more human. Scarcity, labor, danger, ambition, and how far our species is willing to go just to touch something almost no one else can. So next time you sprinkle a pinch of saffron into your dinner, remember, you're technically holding one of the most labor-intensive substances on the planet. Kind of a flex, honestly. If this blew your mind even a little, smash that like button. Drop a comment telling me which one shocked you the most, and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into the weirdest, rarest, most expensive stuff humanity has ever laid hands on. See you in the next one.